Good morning. You're listening to AM 1220 KHTS, and this is Santa Clarita Sheriff Talk. I'm Shirley Miller, your host, PIO Santa Clarita Station, and this show is brought to you by All American Bail Bonds. Today on the show, we have the privilege of having Deputy Brian Rooney. He's the Crime Prevention Zone Leader for the Castaic Val Verde area. We also have Deputy Aldretti. He is one of the motor deputies assigned to Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station. And we also have with us Ashley, student worker of Santa Clarita Sheriff Station. She's here to help us out. So I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for coming in today. Busy schedules. And Deputy Rooney, how are things going up in the Castaic area?
Things are going good. Good morning, by the way.
Good morning. Good morning. And also, in addition to being the Castaic Val Verde Crime Prevention Deputy, you also are the manager of the YAL up in Val Verde?
Yes, I run the Youth Activity League for the Sheriff's Department at Val Verde Park.
And that's a really cool program. It's a after-school program for the kids up there. What ages?
We work with kids ages 7 to 18, as long as they're still in high school. And it's an after-school program. It focuses on homework and tutoring, gives them a place to hang out in a safe environment while parents are still working.
And I saw some nice pictures that retired Deputy Chris Miller took over at your site last week, and it looks like you were busy doing a lot of math. Was that math you were doing?
It's a lot of math.
Yes.
I didn't think as a deputy sheriff I'd have to do math every day. But
I bet you never dreamed that.
It wasn't my best subject in school. But
right.
I'm relearning it with the kids every day.
And I know that's part of the LASD recruitment. There's so many different things that deputy sheriffs can do, and I think that your job is unique and how you're able to help be a positive role model for those kids in Val Verde. And you're right. Who would thought that part of a deputy sheriff's job would be helping with homework in the afternoon?
It seems like it's something new every day with a job.
Yes.
Got to learn to roll with it.
And we have been trying to get all of the crime prevention deputies up on the nextdoor.com program. And if you're not familiar with what Nextdoor is, it's a free social app that you can access on your computer, or you can download the app on your phone. And it gives you a way to connect to your neighbors and share crime prevention information and help keep an eye out for each other. And Deputy Rooney, I saw that you've made a presence on Nextdoor too. And are you getting a lot of feedback from residents on Nextdoor?
I get a lot of daily emails and questions, concerns, things that are going on in the community, which is great information for us because the community is the first set of eyes and ears in their neighborhood. They know what fits and what belongs there and what doesn't. So it's good to have a daily connection with people living there. It gives us a lot of information on what's going on. One of the things on the social media and emails that I've noticed recently is a lot of people are talking about things that happened in an area, and I think one of the things that are forgotten is to actually report the crime.
Yes, I am so glad you mentioned that, because I've noticed the same thing myself when I'm monitoring Facebook and different community groups. There will be people that will share suspicious activity. Perhaps it's a picture of a license plate. Perhaps it's a description of a vehicle or a person that was at their door. And you'll see a long community thread with people posting their responses to this. And they automatically think that the Santa Clarita Sheriff Station is aware of this and we're investigating it. But if we don't have a report, if no one has went through the proper channels of making the report, no, we're not aware. We can't base our investigation solely on social media posts. So, Deputy Rooney, that's a very important message to put out there to the public. If there's something suspicious going on, make sure that it has been reported to the Santa Clarita Sheriff's Station. And it's a whole procedure how it works. You make a report, and then after that report is processed, it's then assigned to our Detective Bureau sergeants, and they assign it to a specific detective, and then the investigation begins. So it's all a process that we go through, and we want to be able to address all of the community's public safety concerns. So just make sure that you keep us in the loop at the Sheriff's Station on what's going on in your neighborhood. And that's why it's great that we have the program of the Crime Prevention Deputy Zone Leaders, because that's a liaison for your neighborhood. And Ashley, I know that you've been helping us also on Nextdoor, putting out information, and there's a link on our website where people can find out who their zone leader is, right?
Yeah, there's a link. It should be on the top left of the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff Station on lasd.org. So
Yes,
it's right there.
Perfect. So if you don't know who your contact person is at the Santa Clarita Sheriff Station, go to our website, click on the link on the left side that says Find Your Zone Leader, and then plug in your neighborhood or nearest cross street, and it will tell you who your contact is. Now, as far as Castaic Valverde, I really think it's great that there has been so many people that have went on Nextdoor, because I know that's something that the department is encouraging all of the residents to get on board with. So if you, no matter where you live in Santa Clarita, whether it's Canyon Country, Saugus, Valencia, or Castaic, Stevenson Ranch, we really want to encourage you to go to nextdoor.com, create a free account, and that way you can share with the neighbors information, as well as if our crime prevention deputies put out any public safety messages, that's there as well. So, Deputy Rooney, thanks again for taking the time to come by the studio today. Ashley, we've got some events coming up pretty soon, right?
Yeah, we do. We have a few events. The first one that I wanted to talk to you about was Shine a Light at COC. That's going to be coming up.
Shine a Light. And May, in addition to other months, Deputy Aldretti is here because May is Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month, but another really important awareness campaign that's going on in May is National Mental Health Awareness. And
Yes.
that's why the suicides, the attempt suicides that have taken place amongst college students nationwide, that's why COC is doing this, right?
Yeah, correct. Exactly. Yeah, on May 11th, they actually have Kevin Bertha.
Yes.
He's coming in. He's a suicide survivor and suicide prevention advocate, and he will actually be speaking from 2 to 3:30 p.m. in the West PE gym at COC.
Yes, and so this is open to the public. If you want more information, you can go to the College of the Canyons website and go to their event calendar. And Kevin Berthia, it was several years ago that he had a failed marriage. He had medical bills from a premature infant, and he felt like there was no way out. So he was on the Golden Gate Bridge, and he was going to jump off, and there was a CHP officer that helped talk him down. And so now he has realized that the way out, that's not the way out. When you have problems, talk to somebody. And that's why Kevin has become such a strong advocate for suicide prevention awareness. And if you get a chance, I've heard that he's a really inspirational, motivating speaker.
Yeah, it sounds really good event.
And then we also have, is it Safe Shred coming up?
Yeah, e-waste and Safe Shred event. That's going to be happening on May 14th out here. And that will be from 7 a.m. To 12 p.m. In Westfield Valencia Town Center Mall parking lot. It's going to be on the corner of Citrus and Magic Mountain Parkway.
Okay, so e-waste, electronic waste, that covers everything from, I know I had a garage sale last weekend, and I have some really outdated computers and things like that you can bring
exactly.
and drop
Sensitive
off.
documents as well. It's a safe way to get rid of them and make sure no one else gets a hold of them, so that's really good.
Good time to start cleaning out all the clutter at home and
Yep.
all of the papers. And they do the shredding right there. I guess they have a truck, and they take care of that. So that's going on the 15th?
14th.
The
May
14th.
There you
May
go.
14th,
Yes.
and it starts at 7 in the morning?
Correct.
Okay. And if you have any questions about this event, you can contact the Santa Clarita Sheriff Station, and we have the information. And Zone Deputy Leader, Deputy Duxbury, he will be on site assisting with the Safe Shred that day.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely.
And then the one other event that we wanted to put out there, there's a concert.
Yeah, the Santa Clarita Performing Arts Center at COC is going to be having Tanya Tucker come in, which is a fundraiser that's going to be supporting the Santa Clarita Valley Sheriff's Foundation, which then supports the Santa Clarita Valley station out here.
So that's a really noteworthy cause. So Tanya Tucker, if you're interested in getting tickets for that concert fundraiser for the Santa Clarita Sheriff Foundation, you can go to the College of the Canyons website and purchase your tickets through their Performing Arts Center. Well, we're going to go ahead and take a quick break. And when we come back, Deputy Aldretti, he's going to dispel some of those motorcycle myths out there. Welcome back to SCV Sheriff Talk. You're listening to KHTS 1220 AM, and this show is brought to you by American Bail Bonds. In the studio today with SCV Sheriff Talk, we have Deputy Aldretti. He's one of the motor deputies assigned to Santa Clarita Station. And I'm Shirley Miller, Public Information Officer, Santa Clarita Station. And we also have with us Ashley. And Deputy Aldretti, thanks for taking the time to come by today. And I knew you were here before I got here because I saw your nice motorcycle parked out front here. How long have you been a motor deputy at Santa Clarita Station?
Thank you, Shirley. Good morning, Santa Clarita. I came back to Santa Clarita about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
I was here 8 years ago for 3 years as a motor.
And so do you like being a motor deputy better than riding in a car, or you'd like to be on motorcycles?
I do. I love motorcycles. This was my lifelong dream, not only being a police officer, but a motor officer. It's what I've always wanted to do.
And this morning when I was checking the weather, I saw that there was a 40% chance of rain. Now, if it's raining, you don't get like do you still have to ride out there in the rain?
No, it's against policy, so we'll park the bike and get in a car.
Okay. Okay, that's good. So the reason I thought it was important to have you on the show today, May is designated as a Motorcycle Safety Awareness Month. And I know there's a lot of motorcyclists here in Santa Clarita Valley. In fact, when Ashley and I were on our way to the studio today, we noticed next to Saugus Cafe, like 3 or 4 bikes out front.
Yeah, right out there.
And there is, motorcycle safety, it's always an issue. You've probably responded to more accidents than you've liked in your career where there were accidents involving motorcycles, right?
Yes, it is, and yes, I have.
Yes. And what, in your opinion, what is the most common, do you think that there's like a underlying common thing that goes on with motorcycle accidents? Like what is I know there's all different factors involved with them, but is there any mistake that you see that stands out that maybe could have been avoided?
In motorcycle crashes, it could be either party's fault or both. It could be the vehicle or the party too, could be because not paying attention. The motorcyclist could be, common thing I see is speed.
Yes.
Speed and not paying attention.
Right.
You just got to be courteous to each other and share the road and follow the speed limit. Number one, I have to stress that. Speed kills.
Right.
As we've all heard, and it does,
and
unfortunately.
Do you think that this is more prevalent among males in their 20s, the younger ones that tend to go too fast because maybe they have this sense of being invincible?
I could say that. Lack of experience.
Lack of experience,
and it could happen in
yes.
any age.
Right.
Lack of experience.
And I had some myths that I wanted to run by you, and they're myths that people have about motorcyclists, and I would love you to help tell me whether this is true or not. Myth number 1, bikers only wear leather because it looks cool. What do you think about that? I mean, I know, Ashley, don't you notice a lot of people riding motorcycles with leather jackets on?
This morning, they were all wearing leather jackets when we saw them outside.
So is that a fashion statement, or is there a reason for dressing that way?
It could be both. I have a leather jacket. I love my leather jacket. Had it 15 years as a motor officer. Leather jackets, they're strong if they keep you warm, and they're strong in a crash. So there's many other jackets, Honduras type of jackets that are the same with armor in the elbows and the spine. There's an old saying, you got to dress for the slide, not the ride. So
that's a
protective
good thing.
gear is, so leather, it's protective also as well as looking cool.
Yeah, because leather is pretty tough and resistant to abrasion, so probably if you do take a spill on the bike, it helps protect against cuts and scrapes. The next myth that I saw was full-faced helmets restrict your visibility. Is that true?
No, it's not. We had 3/4 helmets for years. The last 3 years, we went to a modular helmet, which is a full face, but it flips up. I was resistant to that because I don't like change. I like my 3/4 helmet, but
Yeah, I think a lot of us are resistant to change. You get used to doing things a certain way.
if you crash, your head will hit the ground. It just happens, and a full face helmet, being worn properly, will save nose injuries, facial injuries. You're well protected. So I wear nothing but a full face helmet on and off duty at this time.
And it also, a full-faced helmet protects you from weather elements too. If it's raining or if it's really wind, keeping those little irritating specks of dust from getting in your eye when you're driving. So it also is a safety factor in that way.
Very true. And also I'm allergic to bees, so it keeps the bees away from you.
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Get stung in the face a lot.
Okay. The next myth is big bikes are great for beginners. So if you're brand new to riding a motorcycle, is it kind of like the bigger the bike, the easier it's going to be maneuver? Is that recommended if you're a beginner rider?
In my opinion, I say no. You get something under 1,000 cc's, practice with it. You've got to practice, constant practice. Motorcycle riding is a perishable skill. You've got to keep it up. That's why we go through training. Every 4 months, we have to go back and recertify on all types of our training.
So even you've been riding motorcycles for a while, and you're saying that you have to go back to training just
Yes.
to keep up on skills, and that there is, for the public, is there different types of? I apologize for my cell phone. I should have turned my cell phone off. Is there out in the public? Is there classes that people can take to help become a safer rider? Are those available?
Yes, there is. If you look online, there's several classes, a couple sponsored by the Highway Patrol. I know they do one up at College of the Canyons.
Yes, and I think I was telling you were tell me about that, and I've driven by there on a weekend before. Thank you for turning the cell phone off. I've driven by there before, and I have seen a lot of people out there with bikes, and I wondered what they were doing. I saw orange cones set out, so they were practicing safety skills on the motorcycles.
Yes, they're learning the very basic of motorcycle safety. The main thing on a motorcycle is being able to control that bike. Don't let
Right.
the bike control you. You control that bike.
Right. And then when we were talking about big bikes for beginners, something too that they need to realize is the bigger the bike, the more it weighs. So it's going to be a little bit harder to turn and harder to park. Moving on to the next myth here. This is huge. I think this is a big one in Santa Clarita. Myth, drivers will see you.
That is false. A lot of times drivers don't see you. We'll take drivers as in a car. A lot of times they're not paying attention. They're eating, putting makeup on, putting clothes on.
Talking
on the phone.
Last month was Distracted Driver Awareness Month, and
Right.
and that is something they were talking about. People looking at the cell phones or putting on makeup, and it's even before we had all of the people with smartphones in the car. It was always a little bit more dangerous for motorcyclists as far as visibility and drivers seeing them. But now it's all the more so because of everyone having the tech gear in their car. What is there any tips you have to motorcyclists to make sure that they're visible to people?
Yes, drive with your headlights on, which most motorcycles have that constantly. Drive with your bright light on.
You're talking about during the daytime hours?
Daytime
when it's light?
too. Yes, motorcycles have to have newer motorcycles have to be able to have functioning lights at all times. Drive with your bright light on. Don't drive in a blind spot. Have a way out. Don't have vehicles to your left or to your right. Stay in the wheel track away from the car that's next to you, so you have some flexibility to move in an emergency, to swerve out of the way. Because, like I said, people make lane changes and they don't see you, and they will quote unquote lane change you, and you have no choice but to go down.
Right. And sometimes when you're driving, Ashley, have you ever been like driving in your car and there's two lanes of cars and then like a motorcyclist is kind of coming up in
yeah.
between? And so when you're a driver, you have to be aware that motorcyclists can
Yeah,
do
you
that.
definitely.
And Deputy Aldretti, that's not, motorcyclists can't do that in all states, right?
That's correct. I know Arizona you can't. Here in California, you can lane split, as they call it.
Lane split, that's what it's
There you
called.
go.
Okay.
But it's only can be done at a safe speed. If you're on the freeway and you're moving, not more than 5 miles an hour than the car. Don't go zipping through it. Go about 5 miles an hour faster than the other cars. You're still going to get there. You're still getting ahead of other people. There's no reason to speed through. Keep an eye, look straight ahead as you're driving. Kind of keep an eye on other people through their rearview mirrors, see what they're doing. Always anticipate what someone's going to do.
I like that because isn't that part of defensive driving? You always assume that that other person is not going to see you or not. Exactly. Always being prepared.
Yes, it is.
And the last myth, actually, there's two more I want to ask you. Roads myth. Some people say that roads and streets are safer than the interstate. And I know some people that own motorcycles, and they have made that statement to me saying, I'll ride locally around in Santa Clarita, but I don't go on the freeways. That's way too dangerous on a motorcycle. Is that true? Is it safer to ride on local streets?
I don't think so. I think it's all the same. There are vehicles, there's hazards in every which way. Only thing on the freeway, you're doing faster. You're doing 65 miles an hour, and some people plus. Streets, you're doing, 45, 50. It's all the same. It's just on the street you have more. Actually, in the street you have more hazards. You have cross streets.
Exactly.
You have intersections. You have vehicles coming from different ways. You have debris on the road too, as well as on the highway. Highway, you're a straight lane. You just need to be in the proper lane position and keep your visual horizon, which is looking straight ahead of you, to keep you aware of other vehicles and other debris in the road. So one's not safer than the other.
Right, yeah. And sometimes it can be more dangerous riding on local streets. I saw statistics. There was a study that the NHTSA did. That's the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. And this study was done over 5 years ago, but they found that this is a really high figure. I don't know if this is still this high. 91% of all crashes between a motorcycle and a passenger vehicle occurred on non-interstate roadways. So I don't know if that's still that high, but that was very surprising to me. When I saw that, I thought, well, maybe it's kind of equal, like 50%, 50%. But according to that study, it's much more dangerous driving on the local streets. And
Yes.
You're right. There's a lot more stop and go. There could be debris in the road, a lot more hazards on local roadways. Now, the last myth is if you're about to crash, lay your motorcycle down.
No, that was taught years ago, back in the
that's
50s,
old school?
60s. Yeah.
Okay.
When a crash happens, it happens so fast, you might not have a choice. If you anticipate it, we're taught to brake heavy, brake correctly. Anti-lock brake bikes are awesome compared to non-anti-lock brake, being simply that the wheels won't lock up. We're taught to brake hard, brake safe. We're trained in that too. And, if you have to if you end up hitting the object, the car turning left in front of you, you take the energy off and you hit it with less energy, you have more of a chance to, with less injury, to walk away with less injury and hopefully
Okay.
not a fatality.
Okay. Well, it's very interesting talking to you and getting your perspective because I've rode on a motorcycle, but I've never driven a motorcycle. But I think it's important to get the message out there to all of the drivers to share the road with motorcyclists and watch out for them. And also, no matter how long you've been riding a motorcycle, it's never too late to brush up on your skills, maybe take some refresher safety courses. Deputy Aldretti, it's been a pleasure having you in the studio today. Thank you very
Thank you.
much for stopping by.
If I can add one more thing, if anyone out there has any questions, please feel free to call the station. Leave a
okay.
message. Just have them put a little keynote on their Lone Pine so I know what it's about, and I'll remember. And I'll gladly call you back and answer any questions on motorcycle safety that you have.
I really appreciate that, and I'm sure the public appreciates that too.
Thank
You've been
you.
listening to SCV Sheriff Talk. This show has been brought to you by American Bail Bonds. Thank you for joining us.